Good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. My name is Ayers. I'm a field CTO here with Digibee, and I am super excited to be here today as we get to launch our Forrester Total Economic Impact Study. And we are joined by Lori Heckmann here, who is a senior consultant with Forrester. It is a great honor to have her here to share some of the results and findings from these customer interviews and from this economic study. Just to introduce Lori really quick before we hand it over so she can dive right into the goodness of this report. Lori is a 20-year plus veteran of the research industry with deep experience conducting qualitative and quantitative research in the technology business space. Lori currently works for Forrester's TEI consulting practice, which conducts business value justification analysis to help organizations really understand the financial impact of their technology investments. Lori has worked with several premier research companies, including Gartner, Market Strategies, TNS, and PSB Insights. Lori has an MBA from Willamette University. Welcome, Lori, and thank you for being with us. And with that, I'll hand it over to you to start sharing some of the great findings from this report.
Thank you so much. All right, so the TEI team at Forrester has a long history of helping companies quantify the benefits of the solutions they offer. Forrester does this as an objective third party and is able to leverage its expertise across a number of different technology domains. Today, what I'm going to do is talk you through what is TEI. I'll give a brief market overview of what customers experienced before adopting Digibee, and give some detail around the customer journey, and then finally share the study results. Before moving on, I do want to emphasize that this presentation is an abbreviated version of the full study. The full study has been published, and you can download a copy on Digibee's website. So the TEI methodology has become very important in today's climate because more and more buyers are seeking formal business cases to justify their technology purchases. And for that reason, it's important that we look beyond just the traditional roles and capabilities of IT costs and IT cost savings. Forrester has been conducting TEI studies with a consistent methodology for over 20 years. The TEI methodology weighs benefits and costs, and we look at both hard and soft benefits and costs. A hard benefit or cost is something that flows to your organization's financials, your income statement or balance sheet. Then we also look at flexibility. With flexibility, we ask questions like, does the adoption of a technology allow an organization to become more agile? Does it encourage scalability or promote further innovation? We include this in the analysis because decisions today have future implications. Lastly, we risk adjust each cost and benefit. The risk adjustment is used as a filter to capture uncertainty around the model estimates and assumptions that we make. Basically, if a risk-adjusted ROI still shows a compelling business case, it raises confidence that the investment is likely to succeed because the risks that threaten the project have been taken into account and quantified. Before getting into the specifics of the Digibee TEI study, I wanted to share the multi-step approach to the methodology. We started by doing some due diligence, and what that included was we interviewed some internal people at Digibee. We also interviewed Forrester analysts who are subject matter experts in this space. And then we interviewed 5 customers and focused the analysis on what these customers told us. And based on the customers' responses, we built a financial model that is included in the written case study. And then we get to where we are today. It's wrapped up, available, and delivered to the market. Throughout this process, I do want to clarify a few points. First, the customers that we interviewed were provided and introduced to Forrester by Digibee. However, Digibee did not participate in the customer interviews. Second, Forrester retains full editorial control of the study. And finally, the study and the presentation do not provide an endorsement of Digibee or its integration platform. So before we get into the results, I just wanted to share some background on the integration environment based on what we heard from the interviewees. First of all, organizations were looking to increase the productivity of their integration projects. They had a backlog of IT projects and wanted integration to go faster and smoother for everyone involved, including developers and other IT professionals in the organization. Secondly, finding IT talent is not easy. Interviewees report wanting to adopt an integration platform that is easier to use than their point-to-point development so that they can increase the pool of potential talent to build integrations. This also allowed them to free up senior developers. And then thirdly, previous approaches where integrations were point-to-point required a lot of custom coding. These projects were complex and took a lot of time. Interviewees wanted a solution that will streamline and reduce the cost of the development process. Now an overview of the results. Forrester found in its analysis that the composite organization realized a return on investment, or ROI, of 232% over a 3-year period. The total benefits equaled $5.9 million, and the net present value, or NPV, of our analysis resulted in benefits worth $4.2 million. Customers had a very quick payback period on their investment, with a payback period of less than 6 months. I've included a quote here from an interviewee that I thought highlighted the investment impact of Digibee. Quote, "The reason we selected Digibee was to modernize our infrastructure. We also had a need to simplify and deliver our IT projects faster." We interviewed 5 Digibee customers from 4 organizations. We interviewed 2 people from one of the companies, the telecom. In addition to the telecom, one customer was from retail, one from food production, and another from financial services. All of the companies were based in Brazil. The customers varied in their revenue generated, number of employees, and the number of new integrations per year. However, they had similar challenges that they sought to solve through the adoption of Digibee's platform. So what was the journey that led customers to make their investment in Digibee? Let's start with their prior state. Prior to adopting Digibee, organizations built their integrations with point-to-point solutions using custom code. They used file transfer connections to link applications. The interviewees' organizations did not use another eiPaaS solution before adopting the Digibee platform. The pain points they were experiencing were the development team was not able to deliver projects on time. The integrations were too complex for their point-to-point solutions to handle, and the volume of transactions was too high for the existing solutions. The investment goals that they had were to increase the capacity to complete more integrations at a faster rate, to modernize their integrations by moving away from point-to-point solutions, increase the ability to handle complex integrations with a more straightforward solutions, and then leverage the flexibility of a cloud-based integration platform versus an on-premise solution. So given the different needs of the organizations we talked to, we have built a set of assumptions around which we can build a model. And that's called the composite organization, which is a hypothetical company that fairly represents a typical Digibee enterprise customer. And to build a single financial model that is representative of these companies, we had to build some assumptions. The composite organization is a financial services company with an annual revenue of $5 billion that employs 20,000 people. It is also assumed that the company organization has 6 developers who worked on an average of half of their time on integrations. The rest of their time was spent on other IT projects and tasks. It's assumed that the developers built a total of 685 new pipelines over 3 years. Over that 3-year period, the composite organization increased their use of Digibee, rewriting old integrations and building more new integrations each year to reach this number. So the reason we built this, and the reason you may want to refer to the more comprehensive study, is that you can adjust all of the assumptions throughout the study based on the specifics of your organization. You can say, for example, we only have 2 developers or built 50 pipelines. And so you can start to adjust the math and say, based on the companies that Forrester interviewed, the impact on my organization would be X. So now let's talk in more detail about the financial analysis itself. First of all, we were able to identify 6 different quantifiable benefit categories. I'll get into more detail about each in a bit, but I just wanted to outline those 6 for you. The first quantified benefit is developer efficiencies building integrations. The second quantified benefit is developer efficiencies maintaining integrations. The third is cost savings due to a reduction in IT labor. And then we have cost savings due to hiring less experienced developers. Then internal business user efficiencies. And then finally, revenue from faster time to market with new products and services. So here's more detail about each benefit. The first one, developer efficiencies building integrations. Interviewees reporting building integrations in a fraction of the time using the Digibee platform compared to point-to-point development. The interviewees said that the Digibee platform's capabilities enabled efficiencies with their organization's development team due to several key factors. First, Digibee's intuitive and visual drag-and-drop interface made building integrations faster. Second, the ability to reuse integrations saved development time. And third, Digibee's integration logs and metrics allowed developers to troubleshoot and track workflows all within the platform, saving time. All of these factors contribute to a reduction in the time to build an integration by 50 to 75%. In this quote, the technology architect says, before Digibee, it would have taken 300 hours to complete an integration. Now it takes 60 hours. This benefit totaled $2.1 million over 3 years. For our next benefit, in addition to being more efficient building integrations, companies reported developers being more efficient maintaining integrations. Before Digibee, interviewees reported that it was time-consuming to maintain point-to-point integrations. Since adopting Digibee, interviewees reported being able to reduce the effort involved with maintaining integrations. The Digibee platform made it easier and faster to identify, locate, and fix errors, and there were fewer escalations that managers had to resolve. Because of this, the amount of application rework was nearly eliminated. As a result, interviewees reported reducing the amount of time to maintain integrations by 75%. In this quote, the senior manager of cloud enablement said, "It's easier to locate, fix, and find errors because every component is already there. You can just look at the screen and fix it because you can relate the workflow to the functional execution. Before Digibee, it would have taken half a day to locate and fix an error. With Digibee, it takes 1 hour." This benefit totaled $370,000 over 3 years. The next benefit is cost savings due to a reduction in IT labor. Organizations told us that the impact of Digibee was not only on those who wrote code, but also on a lot of other people in IT. Throughout the entire development process, the impact on non-developer IT resources was greatly reduced. Interviewees reported that there were tasks these people previously performed to support point-to-point integrations that were either completely eliminated or greatly reduced. By the 3rd year using Digibee, the composite organization saved 3,828 hours annually in IT labor. This benefit totaled $678,000 over 3 years. The next benefit is cost savings due to hiring less experienced developers. Before Digibee, point-to-point integration development required senior-level developers to write the custom code. With Digibee, they said the low-code platform didn't require custom code. Because of this, attracting and hiring talent is easier. Ramping up is faster. They could bring in more junior-level developers to do the work, freeing up senior developers to work on new projects for the business. The annual savings for each newly hired developer is $37,000. This benefit totaled $224,000 over 3 years. In this quote, the IT director said, "Normally, when you talk about integration, you think, oh gosh, I need to hire a very expensive guy. But it doesn't need to be a senior developer, so it was relatively simple to select our team." The next benefit is internal business user efficiencies. After integrations were completed using the Digibee platform, interviewees reported that the flow of data between applications increased, as did the automation of tasks that were previously performed manually. The people who benefited from this workflow automation were internal business users who completed tasks faster than before the integration was in place. This use case was reported by several of the interviewees. On average, the time to perform a task was reduced by 55%, though we did see one use case of 85% efficiency. In this quote, the technology architect said, "Before Digibee, 20 people across 5 departments spent half of their time exchanging information with our 1,000 broker partners via email and phone to verify the insurance information was correct. That effort has been reduced by 85%. This benefit totaled $1.2 million across 3 years. The final benefit is revenue from faster time to market with new products and service. This is a revenue benefit, not a cost reduction benefit as the previous benefits have been. Prior to Digibee, most organizations reported that integration projects took much longer than expected and were often delayed due to a number of factors. With Digibee, we heard organizations say they could finish the integration much faster. In one instance, this customer said, "We've finished the projects 3 months early, and as a result, we can expand the area of fiber coverage to the home, sign up more customers, and increase revenue." This benefit totaled $1.3 million across 5 years. Not all benefits are quantified. Some are unquantified. But we heard customers talk about the impact of these benefits, and we want to mention them to you. First of all, we heard customers talk about greater reliability and reduced risk of failures. They reported an increase in reliability between applications and systems with the Digibee platform. Overall systems were on firmer ground and less prone to failure. We also heard increase in end-to-end visibility. Organizations said the Digibee platform provided visibility of data streams flowing through systems that were previously impossible with point-to-point integrations. Thirdly, senior developers are freed up to do more strategic work. As I touched on earlier, because junior developers were able to take over the work previously done by senior developers, these senior developers move from building integrations to focusing on more strategic business goals. And then finally, reduce pain around integrations. The type of pain that interviewees talked about was decreased were a strain on resources, wasted time, unnecessary complexity, and the need to pull in people from other groups to complete the integration. All of these areas of difficulty and pain were reduced with Digibee. So let's look at costs. When we look at costs, we assess the investment the organization incurs. There are 2 parts to the investment. The first are the fees paid to Digibee, which include the cost of the Digibee platform license and their support services, which is the large black bar at $1.7 million over 3 years. The second part of the cost investment is the organization's internal costs of implementation and training, which is the small black bar at $80,000 over 3 years. For Digibee, one of the value propositions is developers can use Digibee with very little training, so the investment in training is small. Digibee has what they call their enablement model. This model empowers interviewees' organizations to use the platform to build, run, and manage integrations autonomously with the support of the Digibee customer success team. The Digibee team delivers the first 50 pipelines to the organizations as well as ongoing support. So as a result of that analysis and the assumptions, you can see how the Forrester TEI team, through its TEI methodology and inputs, came up with all the math and reached the calculations of a 232% ROI and an NPV of $1.2 million. And that is the total economic impact of Digibee. I'll leave you with this final quote, which summarizes why organizations create integrations through Digibee and increase their success. This is what we heard from customers. Digibee not only helps us reduce costs, it enables us to bring more customers and more revenue to the company. So that's why the team is happy with the Digibee platform. Okay, I'll turn it over to Tam.
Wow, Lori, thank you so much for sharing all of those great insights and findings. You know, it's exciting to be here at Digibee and really get to experience and see this value firsthand, but having, you know, an expert such as yourself and the Power Forrester to come in and actually validate all these findings, it's just really rewarding to be able to see. Because at the end of the day, our success is fully dependent on our customers' success. And so it's really awesome to just to hear how some of these metrics have actually been quantified and shared out. Ultimately, you know, tons of different takeaways that you could take from here, but we wanted to put together a few to just discuss here. You know, the metrics here today not only illustrate those cost savings, but it's also talking about things like speed and simplicity, added agility towards your key strategic technology and business objectives. And this is huge, especially in more of a you know, inflationary environment where you need to do more with less. The cost savings to IT and that speed to pay off are key metrics because you're not having to invest in a ton of internal resources. At the end of the day, we don't want there to ever be something of a Digibee developer. We want any developer to feel empowered to make integration a task, not a role. And those cost savings ultimately compound over the years as you start to think about the ongoing cost of integration, your integration strategy and approach. And finally, to all of our webinar attendees that are here listening to some of these metrics and asking questions that we'll get to in just a moment, I encourage you all to check out our website and book a demo. Because what's more important than talking about the past successes, we look forward to the future successes and the future value that we're going to be delivering for organizations like yours. So give us the opportunity to prove out the benefits that the Digibee platform can have for your organization on both the impacts to business, achieving your business objectives, as well as reducing technology savings while moving to a more modern strategy and approach. And with that, I'm going to bring Cait Porte on, who's our Chief Marketing Officer, to answer and to facilitate asking a few questions that we have from the audience.
All right. Well, wonderful job, Lori. Obviously, great to hear from you. And I was encouraged as I was watching the questions come in. So let's get right to it. I'm going to open with one directed at the Forrester team, which is about the risk adjustment. So the question is, what is risk adjustment as indicated in the Forrester calculations? Why and what risks are a part of it? And Lori, I'll have that one go to you.
Thanks, Cait. Risk is an important component within the TEI model. It's used as a filter to capture uncertainty around the modeling estimates and assumptions that we make. Basically, if a risk-adjusted ROI shows a compelling business case, it raises confidence that the investment is likely to succeed because the risks that threaten the project have been taken into account and quantified. The risk adjustment is different for each benefit and cost because the risk differs depending on the circumstances. Also, it could be that for a particular benefit, all interviewees could easily quantify the benefit in the same way, so that benefit would have a low risk adjustment. But for other benefits, maybe responses aren't as consistent, or there was a range in the quantified information. So we have to account for that. And for those, you'll see a higher risk adjustment.
Super helpful. I remember having that almost exact conversation when we were going through the report and the details prior to the launch. So I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one who had that question. Let's roll into another one. In the unquantified benefits section of your talk, you mentioned reduced failure with Digibee. Can you elaborate on the risk that we mitigate? I'm going to have Lori start with this one, and then Tam, maybe you can take it from a Digibee perspective.
What customers told us is that their organizations experienced an increase in reliability between applications and systems with the Digibee platform. Overall, systems were on firmer ground and less prone to failure. Their developers make fewer errors due to the low-code framework that Digibee provides, making the system more reliable.
Yeah, that's definitely great insight, and great to hear our customers sharing that back. From our perspective, when we're engaging, it's anecdotally talking to customers. When there's less code, there's less room for risk. And the way that our architecture has been built with pre-built components, these are pre-tested on a specific engine, right? This runtime engine, and all of this just ultimately reduces the risk, as well as makes the developer experience more enjoyable. So you're able to be more productive, automate or simplify a lot of the more mundane parts of the software development lifecycle when it comes to integrations, and do that in a more secure way. I think also another way that Digibee helps reduce the risk in the organization is simply by providing the visibility. We're all very focused here on the build portion and what that does, but what about the maintaining, the running, the monitoring, the scaling? And these are activities and tasks that are typically managed through a DevOps or DevSecOps lifecycle across multiple solutions and tools. And while Digibee plays very nicely with all of those different solutions and third-party technologies that are out there to help customers manage that full SDLC, it's also important for the benefits that the Digibee platform provides on its own by allowing the enterprise or the IT in the enterprise to be able to see the entire integration landscape that is both coming in and out of the Digibee platform, therefore reducing risk, giving the flexibility to developers to build integrations the way they want, but still providing the governance and control that IT so needs.
I think one of the more compelling things that is as highlighted in that answer is that we have what the Digibee perspective is on the answer to risk, and also what the customer reaction to risk is. And the best news here is that we think the same things, right? That Digibee is helping in these variety of ways. So I love that. This one is going to go directly to you, Tam, and is revolved around a topic that we've talked about in several other materials like this. Would you encourage your customers to train line of business folks to use the platform themselves? And while loaded, I think this is one where, Tam, I'm curious what your answer is going to be here, because we see tons of different folks that want to take advantage of integration. So I'll let you jump in.
You're spot on with that, Cait. And even the word integration is something that means something totally different to different organizations, kind of like the word cloud. And the eiPaaS space in which we're in is very broad. And while there's similar outcomes of some of these different solutions, the way in which they go about it and the personas that they're looking to make to accelerate are different. And so when you to answer your question directly around lines of business and training them, I think it really depends on the maturity or really the organizational structure of the actual organization itself. There's many organizations where IT is still the central place for all requests when it comes to those mission critical integrations, things that are connecting data pipelines between core systems that are again mission critical for the business to run. But what we're starting to see as a trend, and where Digibee's firmly positioned, is to embrace the future of a composable enterprise. And what that means is that more developers are moving out of IT and moving into the direct line of business to be more directly aligned to the products and services that line of business needs to offer. And so not just technical analysts, but actual true software engineers, software developers moving to those different lines of business. And so to answer the question, I would say it depends on where the developers and professional coders and IT sits within the organization. And that's one of the benefits I was mentioning earlier when you were asking about risk of, hey, we can empower these developers in the line of business to learn our platform. Again, just simple JSON is really all you need to learn in a 10-day immersive course. And you can build these integrations that are in the architecture in which you want. But now, if there's still governance and oversight from IT as its own kind of area of the business, they can still see and manage the entire life cycle of integrations across the entire organization. So I would say the answer is it really just depends on where your organization is today. But know that if you're on a journey or you see the composable enterprise as something that is your company is moving towards with that shift, we're able to support you today with more of a centralized IT focus to a more decentralized focus potentially in the future, if that's a journey that you so choose to go on.
Amazing. And I see the questions rolling in as a response to that, but I think we've got time for two more. So let me jump into the next one, which is related to the types of integrations that Digibee builds. Seems like we focus on saving time and developer resources. Can we really handle complex integrations? The specific question here is, what types of integrations does this tool, Digibee, help build? And I'll pass this one to Lori first to see if we had a customer lens, and then we'll pass to Tam.
We heard customers talk about a wide range of types of integrations across the 5 people that we talked to. Tam, can you speak to the complexity of the integrations Digibee can handle?
Yes, absolutely. And it's great to hear that our customers are able to, that you've talked to and just even anecdotally have been able to connect to any system really and get that data to any destination. But the complexity comes in a couple of different areas. Sometimes it's simply connecting to a disparate legacy system, right? That is hard to access, hard to get to. Maybe it's on premise or in a cloud that is super secured and locked down. So that connectivity is a big part of it. And we've helped basically allow our customers to connect to any source, no matter where it is, with our drag and drop, low code connectors. Then there's also the manipulation that needs to happen when it comes to the actual transformation of data in these different pipelines. And this is where we really shine, because we're able to effectively do any kind of advanced manipulation that's needed, manage things like sessions and have persistent storage and do complex looping and execution blocks, even running JavaScript snippets right on our platform directly. So really giving that pro developer in a low code environment to solve and rise to the occasion to solve those complex integrations. But it also is a place where our connector strategy is extremely strong. Because we're not going to be a company that goes out there and says we have 2,000 plus pre-made connectors at the application level. What we're doing is empowering developers to connect on the protocol level: REST, JDBC, Cassandra, Oracle, OData, RFC. No matter what that protocol is, we're able to allow developers to build the integrations the way that they want, instead of forcing them to build them around the way that a tool works. And this approach is very refreshing and actually inspires a lot of creativity with developers, because they're no longer constrained. And when developers are no longer constrained, the amount of creativity and that flexibility allows them to solve and rise to the occasion to solve even the most complex integration challenges in a fraction of the time. And this is something that this is a reason why we are the developer's choice to build integrations.
Love to hear all of that. Once again, thank you, Tam and Lori. And finally, the last one related to pipeline creation. So this is related to how we measure how much Digibee or where Digibee can be used. But the question is, we said that the Digibee platform is easy for developers to use. So why does Digibee create the first 50 pipelines and not the customer? So I'll pass this one to Lori first, just in case she has some lens from the customers interviewed, and then we'll go to Tam again.
Yeah, this was a common theme across all interviews. All of the customers were leveraging Digibee's services model and reported that this model was a very effective way for them to shadow Digibee services team and learn alongside the experts. Tam can probably expand on the reason for why Digibee's delivery model has been defined this way.
It's one of the most exciting reasons that I came over to Digibee from my previous company. And the reason is because our success is truly the customer's success. Customer success is not a bolt-on, add-on, additional uplift on the contract. It's something that it should just be included. Because if our product works the way that we say it is, why wouldn't we be willing to take the risk to be able to build them with and for you in order to teach you how to build these integrations? At the end of the day, we're not a services company. This is a software company. But this is a software company that is invested to make sure that you are able to get the maximum ROI and you're able to get up to speed as quickly as possible. And we find that the best way to do that, on top of our immersive training courses or self-guided online training, is to lean in, give you a dedicated delivery squad to be able to actually work with your team to learn a lot so that you can learn alongside in the context of your specific integration needs. We have system experts for almost every different type of enterprise technology out there on staff, ready to go to help architect, and they love solving problems. This doesn't mean that once we build those first 50 pipelines, if that's what it takes to get your team up to speed, that we're just going away. This is a phased customer success model where we're building them for you, then with you, and then there for support and architecture needs on 24/7 if you need us to be able to answer your questions so that you're not only building the best integration, but doing it in the most efficient way that ultimately delivers even more value. And that's why it's super exciting to hear from this report, because that model is a key differentiator than just throwing over software over the fence and saying, have a nice day. The model is being validated now by some of these extraordinarily high ROI and total economic return that our customers are seeing. And it's great to have that validated here today.
Well, Tam, Lori, thank you for answering those questions. For the audience listening, I know there are a pile of questions we did not get to. Rest assured that our team will reach out and answer them for you one-on-one. If you do have anything, we're certainly available. We did provide, I think, the contact information in the invite. If not, we'll be reaching out to all of the attendees. Feel free to reach out. But Tam, I'll pass it along over to you to wrap up. But thank you for Lori and Tam for you answering those questions.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's exciting to be able to share some of these findings with you all. And I encourage you all to come to our website, get a demo. We're happy to get on a call with you, understand your unique integration challenges. Because when you have a platform that's as powerful as ours, while there are common use cases that we solve over and over again and can bring that expertise, the one thing that I love here is that our architects are huge problem solvers and love to rise to the occasion to solve every individual problem that's here. So challenge us with something that's keeping you up at night that you can't get to until next year that you need by next month. And let us have an opportunity to provide and to show you how our platform can be a better way.